Hey guys! Cycrafter here, and today is a bit spoilery for the first. Wait, really? I just unmuted. Is this better? Is this a better volume? Is this a better volume now? Awesome. Well, thanks for that. Today I'm gonna be starting on covering an anime. So on my second channel on YouTube, I do a podcast called Anime versus Reality, which I decided I wanted to try and bring over here because it's sort of a podcast sort of thing. I am currently doing it by myself, but that's just because my friend is not able to join me today for it. So today I'm covering Erased. Big spoilers for episodes 1 through 4 because I try to not go through everything, because if I did, it would be here for 3 hours, and I don't think anyone wants to be sitting around for 3 hours. So I'm gonna before I get into it. Before I get into this, I want to say I love I love the research aspect of trying to find mistakes in the anime. This is the first anime I have not found a single mistake. Somehow, not a single mistake. In terms of timeline, at least. And with that out of the way, I'm gonna get spoilers for Erased again. Starting with episode 1, where our main character is at Iidabashi Station, which is it's like a station situated between Chiyoda, Shinjuku, and Bunkyo wards in Tokyo. As the train passes, though, our scene transitions over to our character tearing up his manga work. He's a manga writer is the correct term, I think. But the guy that he goes to apply for a job at doesn't like his work. It doesn't show anything about him. It's like, The funny thing is, the company that he's applying for is called Boys Flight, which is a jab at the manga company Shonen Jump, because Shonen means young boy, and obviously Jump is similar to Flight. So the guy that he's trying to, his interviewer is his character work is amazing, but if he does dig deeper, the readers won't see him in the manga. I don't know why I'm butchering words. Also, in a slight note, this anime starts around the 2006 World Cup, which was June 9th, because they're talking about the FIFA World Cup. And if you include the date that it starts on, it puts part of the episode on May 15th, which was interesting to me because I started taking notes on the May 15th, and it actually happens to be the same date as Washni from Ruby as her birthday. Anyway, getting back to the anime though, our character has the same words cross his mind every day. If I had gone back then, not as a regret, but as an excuse that comes to mind. It's constantly if I had gone back, I could have done this differently, sort of thinking. As he's heading out on the delivery run for his pizza job, a female worker also doing a delivery tells our character, who his last name is Fujinuma, not to eat any pizza on the way. And like Fujinuma does not understand it and sees it as a Gen Y joke. Like, what? I didn't even get the joke either. On the way to complete his delivery though, Fujinuma suddenly loops back around in like time, like as he sees a digital sign displaying the weather and time without turning around. It's like, and he realizes he's looped, and he looks around to find the reason for his loop. Noticing a truck driver has passed out while driving. So this is a truck that's just going. Managing to grab the driver's arm though, Fujinuma manages to turn the truck and saves a kid that walks into the road, but at the price of his own injury with a head-on with a car. It's like it's full-on head-on collision with a car, and like Fujinuma experiences the moment of his life flashing before his eyes, and thinks his dying doesn't make any difference. And waking up in the hospital, he manages to wake up in the hospital, and his female worker Katagiri tells Fujinuma that it has been 2 days since the accident. It's like, super that guy for 2 days, huh? And somehow Satoru did not get any injuries from the accident, but the truck driver died of a heart attack while driving. Like, why would you let someone just that has a known heart condition drive a truck? And however, since the truck crashed into a warehouse, though, the only casualties were Satoru and the driver, and also maybe the business losing a bunch of money out of that. If they didn't have insurance, of course. And Satoru, who is aged 29, important detail to note, asked Katagiri why she works at the pizza shop, surprising her with the fact that he went straight for the heart of things. And he thinks about his personal dream of being a manga writer and asks Katagiri about what if it doesn't happen to me. And Katagiri is like, if you keep repeating it, it'll happen at some point. So, what we saw earlier is what Satoru calls his, this ability is called revival. And even though he doesn't need to get involved, he does, and the full extent of this revival is shown as a film reel. So it's literally like a ball of floating film reel, and it's like, it shows like sections of it. And returning home, he finds his mum making dinner since he was asleep in the hospital at the time, and plans to stay for a while to look after him. It's like, he's like, no, you don't need to be here. His mum asks if you can get to Yuno without changing trains, which you can't, since she came from Hokkaido, and figures she'll do some sightseeing. It's like, worthwhile sightseeing trip. Ultimately, his mum takes over his food on the TV, but Satoru is just, what can you do? Turns out the kid Satoru saved in Yokohama went missing from Saitama the previous evening. This causes the mum to ask if Satoru remembers what happened in the neighborhood back when Satoru was in 5th grade, and that the parents desperately tried to get their kids to forget what happened. Thinking it over, Satoru remembers 2 of his classmates going missing. Went missing. In a flashback, kid Satoru played with a local guy named Yuki, which wasn't his real name, messing around with those I would say foam or like the sort of like plastic planes that you can reconfigure to make it fly. Only 6 months after the disappearances happened, Jun Shiratori, or Yuki, was arrested for serial murders and kidnapping. Oh boy. While at the shops, Satoru experiences a revival, seeing the kid drop his ice cream and the balloons escape. He asks his mum to look around with him, which leads to his mum noticing a man with a little girl looking at her. The man leaves the little kid behind, and the mum takes a photo of his license plate. Running into Katagiri, she offers them in. She joins them in walking back to Satoru's place, and his mum puts together that the girl that offered to help is Ari Kitagari, and invites her over for dinner. This happens while the man from the supermarket parking lot is just watching them. It's like, I see you. Satoru is slightly annoyed when Ari does a Wikitania search after learning that he's a manga writer. I guess we're going for a Wikipedia joke. After dinner, Satoru offers to take Ari to the train station, telling her to keep an eye out for cops because of how it looks with a 29-year-old on a bike with a high school girl. It's like, yeah, definitely keep an eye out for cops. And getting back home, his mum wonders out loud to Satoru about what happened earlier, saying that the abduction case was never solved as a joke. The next day, Satoru goes to a bookstore to read the case involving Jun Shiratori, turning the page to see the picture and name of Kayo Hinazuki, who died at 10 years old. Satoru saw her for the last time in the park 18 years ago before she died. And the mum's name we learn is Shetiko, and she thinks over the license plate she snapped, noticing it's a rental by the wa on the license plate, meaning they unintentionally stopped the abduction from happening. From the man's face and the news article she remembers, Sachio realizes it's the same man from 18 years ago, confirming it with the same article at the library and calls someone. Returning home, she realizes the statute of limitations is up for the crimes 18 years ago, but this serial killer is doing it again. And speaking of killer, the killer casually walks in and stabs Sachiko. It looked like in the back, but it's also like she also was turning, so it seems like it might be the side that she got stabbed in. But she tries to call Satoru to tell him not to come home and apologize for not believing him back then. And Satoru leaves his workplace and returns home to see the killer leave right in front of him. Entering his home, he finds Sachiko's note on the floor and her dead on the floor, making the rookie mistake of touching a dead body. You never touch a dead body. That's how you get framed. His neighbor sees the blood on Satoru's hand and calls the Chiba Prefectural Police for the murder of his mum. Relieved from the police, Satoru has another revival that sends him back to 1988, which is 18 years in the past. And that's the end of episode 1. We're getting into some good stuff at this point. Because Satoru is still reeling from this shock of a revival, sending him back to February 15th, I think I mistyped that. I think it was supposed to be a year. No, wait. I didn't mistype it. Yeah, February 15th, 1988. Because... Wait, no. Did I miss... I think I mistyped it. It's supposed to be February 18th. Considering it's 18 years ago, though, there's not... Well, actually, the days do matter. Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah, it would be the 18th. And Satoru goes to sit down, like, considering it's 18 years ago, he's back in, like, the school from grade 5. Satoru goes to sit down at a desk, only to find out that that desk is Keio's. The girl that sits next to him calls Satoru and Keio weird and asks if he loves Keio. It's like, okay, what an introduction to this character. And I was listening to, like, the outside conversations of, like, outside the main character's, like, point of view. They mentioned a Dragon Quest, like, Dragon Quest 3. And the best part of this, Dragon Quest 3 actually released on February 10th, 1988. Making the question, how far have you gone with Dragon Quest 3, a legit question, because it would have been out for, like, at this point, 8 days. I don't know how I mistyped the 15th, like, the 18th versus the 15th. Satoru goes to leave the classroom with his bag when another student calls him out for it, causing Satoru to make up the excuse of having a headache. Not that the student cares anyway, it's like, okay. Running out of school, he passes Keio as she arrives at school, his singular focus being on his mum. His old home is exactly as he remembers it being, confirming that this revival did send him back 18 years. And once Sachiko returns home from work, she makes hamburgers, like, not the actual, like, hamburgers, it's like the hamburger patty thing as, like, the meal. Satoru has a chance to change the future in a massive way. He just needs to figure out what he needs to change and how. And that's when he notices Keio walking to school, and later on in class he sees that Keio has a bruise on her leg. Oh dear. And relearning his old friends' names, his year 5 friend group is Hiro, a Final Fantasy fan, which I checked, he would have played the original Final Fantasy. Kazu, a shooter game player. Osamu, a Dragon Quest fan. And Keia, the student that likes that their interests are diverse. It's not just a one-trick pony situation here. Also, we learned that Satoru doesn't have a Nintendo. And how did we get away with being able to just say Nintendo in this anime? All his friends think that Satoru likes Keio because he's been staring at her all day. Kazu organises their meetup after school, much to Satoru's annoyance. However, Satoru takes the opportunity to try to become friends with Keio. Even if she's a pain in the butt to listen to, she does call them both fakes. Satoru tries again to be friends with Keio, and she rebukes with the question, would he kill someone for her sake? And, like, obviously it's, like, not a serious question, but also, like, Pondering over what she meant by you and I are both fakes, Satoru is certain that Keio didn't figure out the fact that adult Satoru is posing as kid Satoru. Not confusing, either way. All of Satoru's friends are keen for him and Keio to date except for Kenya, who calms everyone down by saying not to overwhelm Satoru. Good kid right there. Hey Jan! I just saw the message and I'm currently going through the anime, like, notes that I have for the anime Erased. currently in the middle of episode 2. But yeah, I'm gonna get back to the notes. When Satoru asks if they want to go to the hideout, he forgot the rule of not going when it's snowing. Like, not going to the hideout when it's snowing. Outside the school, Satoru thanks Kenya for helping out before, but Kenya weirdly says that he thinks it's important that Keo is on Satoru's mind, and that his friends will help. Kenya also brings up the student composition collection to read, saying it's interesting. At home, Satoru reads Keo's essay, The Town Without Me, which is a reference to the true English translation of the Japanese title, The Town Where Only I Am Missing. I don't know how all that became erased, though. That's the real mystery. This essay talks about how Keo wants to get far away from everyone around her to a remote island where there's no parents, nothing like that, just herself. Satoru plans to have a birthday party with his friends and Keo in order to get to know her better. And like, there's a fun detail of like Sachiko counting on her fingers that her son has 4 friends and that maybe a girlfriend, and of which like Satoru's like just hiding on the covers like, you okay? Leaving his friends at the school to follow Keo, Satoru reflects on the evidence he has so far with Keo's bruise, an essay to conclude that her mother is abusing her. Approaching Keo at the park, he tells her again that he wants to be friends with her. Keo sees he's pretending to smile and be nice to make friends. Not that it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to sort of fake stuff sometimes. Keo mentions that while she's performing, it ends up feeling real along the way. Similar to what I said back in the present past. It's a weird sort of present past because technically his present is his past and the past is his present at the moment. Let's not get too confusing here, but Satoru invites Keo to his birthday party with the first invitation. Keo asks if his hands are cold, and Satoru says they are, holding his hands up. It's like, yeah, they are cold. To which Keo puts her hand on his hand. Oh. and Satoru freaks out. It's like, calm down, man, you're 29. Keo was only found dead after the snow had melted, but Satoru is determined to change our future and not let Keo be alone in the park. Which ends episode 2, and going into episode 3, Satoru thinks back to when he read about the victims of the very case he's reliving, where the 3 victims will be Aya Nakanishi, 11, Hiromi Sugita, 11, and Keo Hinazuki, 10. This means Keo's X Day is between 1st of March and Keo's birthday. However, we got something else to focus on here, because there's an ice skating race happening at the school, and the top racer of the boys is Hamada, who is annoyed by the girls cheering him on. The girls try to force Keo to cheer Satoru on, with the best being good luck. just a good luck. As Hamada and Satoru line up to race, I need to turn my light on. That should be better. There we go. like as Hamada and Satoru race, Satoru thinks to himself that Hamada should be the one that wins and lets him, only to realize it was the same mistake as the first time. This time, however, with him talking to Keo, she calls him out for not going as fast as possible in the race. It's like he was just doing it because he thought Hamada should win. So with that avenue burnt, Satoru decides he needs to find out Kei's birthday in the staff room by snooping. But gets caught by his teacher, Gaku Yashiro. And Gaku is helpful to Satoru, though, and reveals that the two classmates share the same birthday, which is why she was so reluctant to tell him. This means Keo will disappear in 11 days on March 1st, since 1988 is a leap year. I tell you, this is heavily researched stuff. Heading to the park to make up with Keo over the lie he told at the race, Satoru discovers she isn't there, but Jun is. Go to Jun's place, which is not a good look for a 23-year-old and a 10-year-old we're hanging out to some people. They talk about how Satoru has been making friends. Satoru shifts the conversation to Keo, with Jun giving a quick response to knowing her, which is suspicious to say the least. Jun mentions that he works at his dad's bento shop from 4 a.m. to noon. So that's actually a pretty good day. Early day, and then your whole afternoon is just off. And reaching for a book on the paper crafting tournament, so that's where he looks over there. See, Jun has some schoolgirl-based naughty content. Also, like, later down the line, we get sort of a flash forward to, like, Jun in prison. And based on on his prison mugshots, and depending on how you sort of take the distance between the lines, Jun is between 163 and 160 centimeters tall. I can't really get an accurate number for that, though. So, for Satoru to stop these abductions, it will also prevent Jun from going to prison, since no crime will have been committed. And heading to Keo's house, Satoru finds burnt gloves on the ground, her bag and contents strewn across the ground, and footprints leading to the shed. And inside the shed is Keo's battered and bruised body, but she's still alive. Barely. Not that her mum cares at all. Tell her to go inside and emotionally manipulating her daughter to lie about her injuries. Inside, Keo's mum dunks her daughter's face in water and ices it to heal her face before Monday, so she doesn't get caught for abusing her daughter. How are you... like... is this a year-round event for you? And when Monday comes around, and Keo is not there for her morning duties with... Keo's not there for her morning duties with Satoru. Keo does manage to show up to class during the best subject, math. I love my mathematics. And when she takes off her scarf, Satoru sees some bruising on the back of her neck. Really, the back of the neck? You're gonna bash the back of your daughter's neck? That's like where the spinal cord is and everything. Outside of class time, Gecko and Satoru talk about the fact they know Keo's mum beats her daughter up on Saturday. And the reason why is because you got Sunday to fix it. And Gaku has been thinking about talking to the class about how abuse at home is not okay, but thinks if everyone knew about Kayo's abuse, there would be prejudice against her. It's like, no, they're kids. They're gonna, like, you're gonna have one kid that's like the bully, and then the rest are gonna be like really nice and understanding. He has had the Child Consolation Center visit Kayo's house 3 separate times, but each time Kayo and her mum were out of the house. It's like, wouldn't they be able to stay at the house? But then you think, no, you got the other guy that's living there. It's like the boyfriend or husband. That's just like, he would just be like, no, get out of the house. And during lunch, Satoru falls for the money robbery situation. It's like, uh-oh. The lunch money has gone missing, and he has to tell the teacher, Gaku, that the money is gone. And the girl next to him, who we learn is Misato, thinks Kayo stole the money, calling out the fact that she's poor compared to the other students. And like, all the students check their desks, no one has the money. No one has the money in their bags. Except Kayo does find the money in her bag. But Satoru says that Kayo would never steal, and Kenya points out that the money could have been planted on Kayo to make it look like she stole it. Which upsets Misato. Although, I feel like Kayo might have earned this sort of bullying, because Kayo does say that in 3rd grade, Misato made fun of her pencils, so she threw Misato's mechanical pencil out the window. Nice. She also brings up the story about a Christmas tree, and Satoru invites her to go see a Christmas tree. And climbing a mountain nearby, the two main characters see red foxes run around them, which Satoru saw for the first time. Like, what he saw it the first time, he was alone when it happened. And reaching the top of the mountain, they're met with a giant gorgeous tree covered in icicles. However, our episode ends with a shot of Gaku and Kenya talking in the classroom. I'm just realizing the sunlight is slowly going over. And the downsides of streaming early. Moving on into episode 4, though. The next morning, Satoru asks his mum if he can go out next Saturday to the science centre with his friends. When she mentions she would have given Satoru money if it was a day, he lies to get the money. It's like, okay. Misato is annoyed with the female students being flirty with teacher Gaku. Which they are kids. But also Satoru calls her out for her hypocrisy since she used to do it. Like, and even in basic conversation, he slips up and says, you know, like, yeah, you know, like, why apostrophe no instead of you. It's like, how do you even pronounce that? You know? But, like, he doesn't get called out for it because Misato is, like, caught up in her own drama of Gaku thinking she's a thief. It's like, yeah. And after class, Satoru tries to invite his friends to the science center, but when KO is mentioned, they all say they can't go, and, like, turning the situation into an actual date. And Satoru's kid brain says what he's thinking, making the situation worse and confirming it's truly a date. Whoops. Over at Kayo's house, Satoru tries to convince her mum to let them go to the science center, accidentally hinting at Kayo's abuse. But Kayo nods wanting to go with Satoru to the science center. Her mum goes to slap her, only for Sachiko to step in and stop her. Sachiko reveals she's quick to understand what is going on at the Hinazuki residence between the mother and daughter. Yeah, it's not good. Saturday comes around and Satoru and Kayo visit the science center, with him messing around and Kayo being her usual self. Near the planetarium, Satoru gets a sudden sense of deja vu. Not because he has been there before in this situation, but he has accidentally created the same circumstances at the science center. And he's like, how do I change this? How do I change this? But at the last moment, all of Satoru's friends show up, changing the situation completely. However, in an attempt to outdo Saturday, Satoru accidentally calls Kayo pretty. It's like, ah! After class, Satoru walks with her until they cross paths with her mum. Leaving the home early, Satoru races to Kayo's house to be with her for as long as possible to protect Kayo from the killer. That, along with hanging out with Satoru's friends, should create enough of a social barrier to protect Kayo from the lonely killer. The nickname I decided to give our killer in this anime, the lonely killer. It'll make sense why. At the children's center, Kayo sweeps up at go while the time passes 6 p.m. Satoru is even ballsy enough to walk it past the last place he saw her in the original timeline. It's like, jeez, man. And everything goes by like Kayo didn't get murdered by a killer, and Satoru says he'll be there tomorrow to get her for school. But Satoru isn't satisfied with how easy this day was and sneaks over to Kayo's house to make sure everything is okay. And as the night ticks past midnight, he has changed history. In the morning, Satoru is sitting outside Kayo's front door waiting for her to be ready for school. It's like, she's just like, are you stupid? As she usually is. At school, teacher Gaku calls upon the help of Kayo and Satoru to move some boxes. But, and like, they're doing all the box moving. And returning to the classroom, the entire class is gone. But there's not much they could do about it, and just go buy stuff for the party. And at the Fujinuma household, Kayo and Satoru are treated to a surprise birthday party from their friends. Turns out the moments of Kenya and Gaku meeting after school was about how it was also Kayo's birthday as well. The reason Kayo wanted to go home early was to work on the birthday present for Satoru. And as the usual birthday celebrations go down, including many birthday presents, with one special from Satoru to Kayo to replace her burnt pink gloves. Satoru walks Kayo home without realizing that her mum's present to Kayo is going to be brutal. And Satoru gets to class the next day just in time to not be marked tardy by Gaku, meaning Kayo is the only one that is late to class. And that's not a good sign when you're the only one that's, like, there's only one student missing and it's the same student as everything else, like, other times. But that's the end of episode 4, And that'll be the end of this section of the stream for YouTube. Links in the description to both my channels and Twitch. Like, go and subscribe. But for the stream, we're not ending here. We're going to be moving on to the next section.